Greetings, my fellow Airsoft nerds. I am James. I am the dude in charge of Homefront. I'm also one of the owners of Combat Zone and the Arms Room in Roseville. The other owner is James Strutton. He will not be there that day at Homefront, so you only get 50% of James's at Homefront. I apologize for how kind of early 2000s echoey the audio is. For some reason, my audio equipment just doesn't really want to work this morning, so I've got my earbuds in with a microphone. And if you want to speed this up to like 1.25 or 1.5 speed to kind of get this thing going, I'm not mad at that. In fact, that's a pretty ADHD friendly thing to do. Obviously, the date is the 9th of November, which is going to be next weekend. So as I'm filming this, it's just before noon on the 31st of October, 2024. The event is 9 November, so that's next weekend at 8 a.m., which is when check-in will start. As I'm filming this last night, I did release more NCA and GSO tickets. For whatever reason, the event lore is Russian players, Rus 4 players, Motherland Forces, Milishnikov players, whatever you want to call them. For whatever reason, are very last minute signups, and NATO or US players are very early to sign up, so I'm always like, oh no, how's this going to balance out? Right now, the ticket price, if you haven't bought your ticket yet, you still have time, should be $64.98, which is a $60 ticket fee plus $4.98 in fees. That's for the hop up website. If you walk on, it's going to be a $75 fee. You can buy your tickets up till Thursday evening. You can still buy your tickets. So Thursday, let me get the date on that. The 7th of November, sometime after 9 p.m. Don't be surprised if you have to come as a walk-on. This is everything that your online ticket's going to include. I just got an email back from the patch guys. The patches may not be here in time for the event. So I'm just going to leave some at the store and some at the field. You just come in, say, hey, I signed up. Here's my hop up receipt. And just go, oh, here's your free patch. Ta-da. This is all the extra stuff you pay for if you want to read it. We are not having rental equipment available for this event. That's just how we do the $50, $60 events. The $35 events like the Vault Wars we just did and Operation New Dawn, which we'll do again next year, that will have rentals, but the higher ticket price games or events will not have rental equipment. So that's going to be obviously this Homefront and Yellow Rocks. There are no rental guns for that. This year, to be polite, because I know I have a decent contingent of Slavic Russian speaking players, so I Google translated the rules into Russian. I hope it did a good job. Go me. What we're doing this year, there's no medic water rule. We're going back to the bandages. There is a sub faction which I'll get into under the New Continental Army. We loosened up the camo pattern restrictions for NCA, which I'll talk about. We are going to try to our best ability to squad players based on what camo pattern they're wearing, and that really applies more to the Milishnikov faction. I do have more objective focused missions, some more game mechanics, kind of the same ones. I just tweaked them. We consolidated some bits on the map. I added the SMG weapons class. That's the same one that we had at Vault Wars, and I believe we also had that at New Dawn. And I just ordered the Gustav rocket launcher as a game prop. For the raffles, I always ball out for Homefront raffles. We're doing a main raffle, so in that's going to be Specna. This is their entry level AEG AK, which is still really solid. They also donated their SMG style, so it's the XO1 with a pre-installed gate Aster. Also in the main raffle is going to be a Dean's and small Tamiya 11 volt 3000 milliamp hour battery from Titan batteries, and that comes with a charger also. I'm going to throw in a couple E&L mid caps in here because a lot of people really like these style mid caps. Obviously, I'm throwing into PTSM4 mid caps. Those are the 150s, not the 250s or the 170s. We're throwing in also a CZP09 from ASG because they're just amazing. For the faction raffles, if you're a new Continental Army player, your faction raffle item is gonna be this guy. It's a Specna Edge 2.0 with a pre-installed gate Aster. This thing is super dope. Dude, Specna just super covenant clutch right now. If you're a Motherland Forces player, your faction raffle item is this E&L New Essentials. I don't know why it says AK-105. It's an AKM. This is the same AKM that I run. I don't know why I put AK-105. I might have been tired, whatever. You'll also have the ability to win a AK battery, either a Dean's or small to me a 1200 milliamp hour 11-volt battery with charger. These are the AK specific ones, so like those the longer, thinner pencil types versus like if you see those rate their regular 1000 or 1500 or 1200 milliamp hour, they're a little shorter and fatter. But if you run an AK, you already know this is the move. G&G is confirmed they are going to show up. It's going to be Ryan again. I mean, Ryan, G&G does not say no to me. And Ryan definitely comes to hang out every chance he gets. He's got some cool stuff he's going to show, and you can get if you go check him out at his booth out, you can win a free raffle ticket for the main raffle. Arcturus is also going to be there. Really, Moss, they own Arcturus, and they're a distributor for E&L. It's mostly the Arcturus guys. It doesn't matter. They're going to come with their gunslinger shooting competition, and the top 3 shooters from each faction, so that's 6 total players, will win extra raffle tickets for either their main or their faction raffle. You're going to decide. I believe Airsoft Challenge program is going to be there. Gavin hasn't got back to me yet. I think months ago we talked about it. I can't remember. Look, I'm mixing everything up. Assuming he shows up, which he probably will. If you follow the Airsoft Challenge program on Instagram, you go over to their booth, show them, hey, I'm following you, and get a free main raffle ticket. Rules video, this is what I'm doing right now. I didn't know until like a week ago I hadn't done this. I thought I already had. Look, kids, it's been a busy year for us. Check it in a format guide. I'll go over that. The master roster. So if you've signed up, it'll take me probably a couple days at the most to add you to the roster. So as long as you've paid for your ticket, I'm tracking you. If a few days have gone by and you don't see your name on this roster, shoot me an email, shoot me a message. There is a chance that I have overlooked you. I usually go back and do a full roster audit and compare it to the hop up signups. I'll usually do that once a week just to make sure I haven't skipped anyone. I have a Facebook group for both factions, and you can also, if you're a Discord guy, you can message me and I will add you to the faction specific Discord role for the chat in there. Backstory, if you want to read it, we're just going to kind of keep it going. Gameplay, it's still, look, the field didn't get any bigger. We haven't changed the field. Field's not going to change. Field's probably not going to get any bigger. So it's still a 3 control point system. This year, we've consolidated the mortar pit and the radio tower into the capture points. So whereas last year, mortar pit and the radio tower were separate control points, based on player feedback, we have now consolidated them. There's the point mission you can go through. You can read all the control point stuff and everything that means. The POW camp is still going to be on what we call Hyperball. Here's all the commanders point stuff that you can. So the only purpose of points is so commanders can purchase resources to drive to keep going. Basically, there is no winning and losing at any game that I host. If you're like, oh, we're gonna win, no, you're not. Several minutes before the game is going to end, both factions will get hacked by an unknown hacker, and you're going to lose all your points. Ta-da! Mission types are still kind of the same. We still have kill cards. I'm going to try and get some convoy attack stuff in there and some Kazabac rescue things and some attack and defend stuff. These missions get issued out based on what's happening on the field. iPro still the same. Everyone has to have full seal rated eye protection. Everyone, 100% everyone. We will be checking this also. If we think you're not wearing the appropriate eye protection, we're going to have you walk off the field or to whatever safe structure is nearby. You're going to have to prove to that ref on the spot that you are wearing approved eye protection. Otherwise, you're off the field. Here's what all players are going to need to have. Obviously, authorized eye protection, your uniform stuff, which we'll go over, up to 2 ace-style bandages that are at least 2 inches wide and 15 inches long. That's pretty standard for most of those ace-style bandages. They can be elastic, that's fine. They can be the non-elastic, it doesn't really matter. If you've got the True Aim, or what is now the Airsoft Ministry green or orange armbands, you can use those also, that's fine. Or you can use the Milsim West tourniquets. Real tourniquets are absolutely forbidden. Everyone is going to get issued a dead rag if they need them. Most guys have dead rags from the last couple years. If you need one, we will have them for free at check-in. Don't worry about the water source. I highly recommend you have it on you. But what we started doing instead of this, I just need to take this out. What we started doing instead of this is having water cases at the safe structures in the spawn points. We started doing that in the last couple events, and we re-emphasized that for Vault Wars because players were kind of forgetting that that was a thing, or we just didn't do a very good job of explaining. New Continental Army, it's still the same as far as the gun rules and stuff like that. It has to be a non AK type gun, so you can still use other, like a P90 and MP5s and stuff like that. That's fine. You just cannot use an AK. You still have to wear OCP top and bottoms, but it doesn't have to be US issue. So if you've got like the British stuff, that's fine, or Camelgrum, that's fine. As long as it looks like US multicam or US OCP, it's fine. Most of it looks the same. Ghillie suits must not have a significant amount of green or black, so it has to be predominantly tan. Look, if you've been to events before, you already know that ghillie suits are kind of a struggle as far as your PID. This is the Global Security Organization. This is the sub-faction of the New Continental Army. This is basically your solid tans, browns, and grays, your UCPs, chocolate chip, stuff like that, marine pattern, stuff like that. Again, you still cannot use an AK variation rifle, but you can use everything else just like the normal NCA soldiers. Cannot wear civilian attire unless you got a player that's 15 years or younger. So it has to be, other than that, it has to be a military style shirt. It doesn't have to be like, it could be, look, it could be repro. You just go to a surplus store and pick one up for 10, 20 bucks. That's fine. Why are you going to spend like 50, 60, $75 on an event ticket plus all the resources to get to the event? But you're like, well, I don't want to buy a new shirt or pair of pants. Dude, come on, for all factions, no matter what gear color does not need to match. It's a good idea, but per rule, it's not required because we are identifying players by the sleeves. Remember, it has to be a long sleeve shirt. You cannot wear short sleeves for any faction on this event. Motherland Forces, which is basically the Russian military style faction, can only use AKs, and they are limited to any Russian pattern, and it has to be matching top and bottom. So you cannot do like an EMR top with partisan pants. If you're doing an EMR top, you have to have EMR bottoms. Basically, if you've been in the Milsim West, it's Rust 4 rules. Milishnikov is the militia equivalent under the Motherland Forces. This is where you can kind of mix and match stuff. Again, if you're a militia player for Milsim West, you can literally wear the same stuff and you're fine. You can use M4s or AKs or any gun type. That's fine. For solid colors, you can go black, green, or blue. And then your Woodland M81, Jungle Tiger, other variations and stuff like that. I literally have picture examples of here. As long as it doesn't look like anything the other team is wearing, it's fine. Like, oh, but I have this gray Russian camouflage pattern. Don't wear that. That you're going to get confused for GSO. That's a bad idea. For Milishnikov, you can wear civilian hoodies in long sleeve shirts and stuff like that, as long as they still conform to the color or pattern rules. Milishnikov is the only faction in this event where you can wear civilian attire, such as like a regular long sleeve shirt or a hoodie or something like that. Everything else needs to be, military or tactical looking. Uniform regulations are pretty straightforward. If this is your first event, this is probably a lot of information for you, but welcome to Milsim style games. No joggers or sweatpants. All tops need to be long sleeve. It doesn't have to be like specifically branded tactical pants. So if you had like black Wrangler jeans and your Milishnikov, hey man, that's fine. That's good to go. This is never an issue, but I always put it in the rules just in case. Closed-toed appropriate footwear, no Crocs, no flip-flops, none of that. Look, first of all, it doesn't jive with the spirit of the event. Second of all, it's definitely a safety hazard. There's nature and sharp stuff out on the field that we're not going to see during our field walks. Again, you signed a waiver, but also we're going to try and mitigate risks as much as possible, especially with something as easy as, hey, dummy, wear appropriate footwear. Oh, but I want to wear Crocs because it's funny. Get out. Get out. I'm keeping your money. Get out of my event. Don't come back. When it comes to the inclement weather gear, like your rain jackets, or cold weather jackets or something like that, you can get like a civilian jacket as long as it's appropriately colored or patterned. So it doesn't have to be a Gore-Tex or a field jacket or something like that. As long as it looks the part, that's fine. So let's say you're an NCA player, and you have a tan rain jacket that you got from REI. That's fine. We're not that crazy on the rules. That it doesn't have to be OCP as long as it falls within the spirit of the event and it can be easily identified to separate the NCA players and sub players from Motherland Forces players and sub players. That's fine. Equipment rules are pretty standard for most events. No extended triggers, no feathering, no drums except for LMGs. You can use the PTS EPM ones like those 250s. That's fine. We don't really have a limit on how many magazines you could carry. As long as your magazines don't go above 250, who cares? You cannot use shields at all. Melee kills are not allowed for this event. You can bring, in fact, you're encouraged to bring like your Odins and your speed loaders. I actually highly recommend you take like a backpack with supplies on it so you don't have to run back and forth from your spawn to the field to the spawn. Look, take your BBs with you, take a speed loader with you, take some snacks and some water in a backpack, walk it up to your spawn point, and try and mitigate how often you go off field. Nothing homemade. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. If it was not commercially made by a company, I don't care. Oh, but it's better than shut up. No, don't care. Enola Gay smokes, we only have about maybe less than 10 that have been pre-ordered, and we're kind of stopping the pre-orders for smokes right now because we need to check that the weather is going to be appropriate. Last time, 2 weeks ago, it was too dry for smoke grenades. Like we did a test pull on one of the grenades in a controlled area, and it set the grass on fire. So we're going to see. It should have a couple rainy days during the week, so that should kind of dampen the field. So we should be fine for smokes. I've also bought like 25 of the wire pulls on both ends that don't burn as long, but we should be able to use those. We've been using EG18s, and those things burn for 90 seconds, and that's about how long it takes to dry up that grass and make it go foof. EG67s are good to go. We used them last weekend at Vault Wars. They were totally fine. Or yeah, last weekend. They have a 10-foot kill radius. I'll add all that stuff to the safety briefing and the check-in stuff. No 40 mics or something similar. Only shower shells are allowed if you've got a 203 launcher. No one uses any of this stuff at our field, so I'm not really worried about it, but I'm listing it anyway. Uh, no one's pre-ordered any tag and master keys, so if you show up with a tag and master key, I'm gonna know you are not allowed to use it because you didn't pre-order it from us. FPS rules, MED rules, all that. Again, this is standard stuff for our field. If you're using a sniper and it's above 450 FPS all the way to 550 FPS, you got 100-foot MED. If it's 450 and lower, it's a zero MED. It's only 400 feet per second. Relax. If you have a sniper that's 450 and under, just sign up as a rifleman. You don't have to register as a sniper class. That class is really only reserved for the guys with that have higher joules that need that MED. DMRs, literally the same rules. LMGs, if it's 401 feet per second with point twos and higher, it's got a 50-foot MED to it. We'll tag it with an extra zip tie. If you've got an LMG that's like 400 feet per second and lower, zero MED, that's fine. There is some stuff on what does and does not constitute LMGs. It has to look like a light infantry unit would have carried it. So like those Crytek LMGs or the G&G LMGs, those are just M4s with a body kit. If it doesn't look like a 240 or a SAW or an RPK or something like that, if it doesn't look like a light infantry unit would have been issued it as a standard issue weapon, they'll bring it. Don't even ask. AEGs 400 or 1.5 joules, 0 MED, semi only, which is basically everyone. The SMG class, there is a costume element. It does have to look like an SMG. So if it takes an M4 or an AK magazine, it's an automatic DQ. If it's at a joule or lower, you can use short burst, and that's the same short burst pattern that the LMGs use. A lot of the costume stuff for these guns, those picture examples are in the check-in and format guide, which is this thing that we will also go over. GBBRs have a 400-foot. GBBRs are at 400 feet per second with 1.5 joules with 0 MED. Again, you are capped at 50 rounds for your magazine, but you can use the same short burst pattern as an LMG or as the SMGs. HPA rifles are 1.5 joules semi only, blah blah blah. If you have an LMG that is HPA'd, it still defaults to the LMG rules. If you have a sniper or a DMR that is HPA'd, it's still defaulted to that weapon class. This HPA rule is really for rifles because that's what most guys are using. Because this event, you cannot use like your tap adapters, your monk adapters, or your primary adapters for pistols. So, not a whole lot of people are going to bring a non HPA rifle. Like, no one's bringing pistols, basically. If you want to run pistols, gas HPA, whatever, whatever, 350 feet per second with 0 MED. You can run an HPA pistol, but it has to be direct into the magazine, like those CQB Russian adapters. That's fine. No one does that anymore, really, so I'm not really worried about it because this event is supposed to be replicated a little bit more after the cosplay aspect of military simulation airsoft games. So I don't know any light infantry unit that's going to have something that looks like an HPA high kappa with an M4 adapter. And no one really brings pistols a whole lot because they're kind of pointless on the field. But I understand airsofters, so that's a thing. Shotguns are standard shotgun rules, 350 feet per second, nothing that fires more than 10 BBs at once. So, like, if you've got that ESG gas shotgun, that's fine. No melee kills and no shields because this is a gunfight event. So suck it. I don't want to hear your complaints. Bang kills are optional. If it's a little kid, yeah, go for it. If it's a grown ass man, shoot him. All BBs must be biodegradable. We will have them on site. The max BB weight for anything that's not a DMR sniper or LMG class weapon is a 0.32. If you've got these snipers, DMRs, and LMGs with the MED, so like the higher shooting ones, you can use up to a 0.45. So if you've got an LMG that's 400 feet per second or lower, you're still capped at a 0.32. Gun hits don't count because that's stupid. Everyone gets a max of 2 bandages. Again, I already explained what those bandages could be. So the first time you get shot, you can either raise your hand, announce hit, put on a red rag, and chill for a minute, and then wait for a teammate to come get you, or you can act out a Milsim with death scene, like the dramatic 2-second death scene, and lay down and play dead. So if you lose your red rag or a number of reasons where you'd want to do this, you could play that out. If you act out a death scene, it's a 30-second bleed out time. If you do the normal raise your hand, yell, hit, red rag, it's 1 minute. The first bandage, anyone is allowed to put it on you. Any friendly force is allowed to put it on you. The second bandage has to be applied by a medic, a friendly medic, or any friendly platoon leader or higher. So, like, if you're running a mission with your platoon leader and you get shot next to him, that platoon leader can put that second bandage on you. For all the comms and radio stuff, I have emailed out the classified briefings to everyone that's registered as of the 29th of October at like 2 p.m. That has the preset radio frequencies for your specific faction. But the one radio freak I always put out is the basically the ref for the emergency frequency, which is 417. It was 416, We've been having problems with that frequency with like hot miking, so I just switched it up to 417. All my refs will have radios. The faction commanders will have radios, and most likely the platoon leaders will have radios. If you have a radio, I can program it as long as it's got the Kenwood connector, that two-prong connector, like your Baofangs and stuff. That's fine. Here's a game map, CP1, 2, and 3, plus the POW camp. CP2 is the mortar pit. CP3 doubles as the listening post or the radio tower. Is gonna New Continental Army starts on Pyramid, and then the Milishnikov or the Motherland Forces are going to start the game on Dollhouse. After the lunch break, they're going to switch spawn points, and we're going to finish the day out that way. All the extra stuff you can read in here, timelines and all that stuff. I'm now going to go over the check-in and format guide. So as you scroll down a little bit, you scroll, you come down to, it's past the raffle items right here. Check-in and format guide, you click on that guy. Boop, brings this up. This has more picture examples and more like specific information and details that doesn't really fit that well on hop-up. Here's the main raffle items. Again, you can go through and look at it. Good table of contents, walking in stuff for your guns. Table of contents. If you want to get for the love of God, make sure your guns are working well before the event. We can try and get your tech work in as late as the 7th of November. There's no guarantee it's going to get done, but that's basically the last day to be like, hey, I need this quick tech job done. We can bring that gun to you at the event. Also, I'll talk about that in a second. If you want to skip chrono the morning of the event, bring it to the arms room in Roseville anytime from now until the 7th of November when we close, because I'm going to be going to Oroville on Friday. Or you can bring it to the field, play the night game, and after the night game, just check the gun into the main office, and we will stash it in the office, lock it in there, and secure it so that you can't mess with it or tweak it or whatever, blah, 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 blah. But basically, it is secured, it is safe, it is sanitary, so that what it was chronoed at for the night game, or if you don't want to play the night game, you just want me to chrono it, cool, you drop it off at the office. I tag it, I bag it, I leave it there. You pick it up in the office during check-in that morning. We are doing a night game the Friday before Homefront. Anytime we do a big event, we always do a Friday night game. If you want to rent night vision, you got to hit this guy up on Instagram, Black Diamond Applications. I DM'd him yesterday or the day before. No one's hit him up, so he may show up, he may not. But if enough dudes are like, I legitimately want to do this, DM him. Don't just be like, oh, that guy's going to be there. I'll just rent when I get there. No, no, no. That's not how this works. For the check in, if you're camping out Friday, please try not to park and camp out in front of these from the office all the way to where these little picnic benches are. And please don't park your stuff over here next to the storage container, because that's where our vendors are going to be. And this is going to be part of check-in over here. Station 1 check-in is going to start right here behind the office. Station 2 is going to be the faction check-in, where you could like hang out with your leadership and stuff. If we get the patch in time, that's where the patch is going to be picked up at Station 2. Otherwise, you just come into the store or to the field after the event when we get our patches. Just get it there for free. Station 3 is optional. If you need to buy anything, if you need to pick up any pre-order items, you're going to do it at Station 3, which is the office. Station 4 is Chrono. When you go to Chrono, make sure you have your approved event eye protection and you are in full uniform, just to consist of your top and your pants. If you don't do those things, you're not going to get chronoed. After you chrono, after you get chronoed, if you want to go mess with your hop up off to the side, that's fine. Right here we have an MED range, so we will actually mark out 50 and 100 feet so players understand what 50 and 100 feet look like, because some of you don't know how to judge distance. These are the cards you're going to get handed at Station 1. You will not get your wristband until you have completed all these stations and then go back to Station 5, which is really just Station 1. Get this signed off, turn your card in, and then you get a wristband. The only thing you can skip is going to be the pre-order. Station 3, that's the only thing you could skip. This is last year's picture as far as the order goes. We changed it up a little, but it still looks the same. This is what I'm talking about with like the picture examples for weapons, the LMG rule, HBA AK, this is fine. SMG rules and pistol rules and all that. We have picture examples, all kinds of stuff. Picture examples for what the uniforms are and specifically are not. Gear color doesn't need to match. You know, if you can or cannot wear civilian attire, that's fine. Uh, Admin stuff, like what the marking looks like, the break areas, or we call them the safe spaces or the safe structures or whatever you want to call it. That's the only place you're allowed to go and take off your eye protection while being still on the field. You'll know that's the place because there's going to be water in there. And that's basically it. If you have questions, you can email me, czpaint530 at gmail.com. You can message the Facebook, message the Instagram, message me on Discord. There's all kinds of ways to get a hold of me. Heck, if you don't have any of those ways, you can call the arms room in Roseville and talk to me and ask me questions.